Okay. So this is a kind of important thing to get into, and I wanted to talk about it because there's a lot of things to get in. But basically, as per usual, Vaush Video is a guy on the internet. We're going to be talking about our equestrian thought leader, one of the most notorious lefties online today. A guy who's been having a kind of a renaissance of bad takes over the last few months. I really do think the fucking lolly thing shook him because he has no real support from non-sycophants on Earth anymore. People hate Vaush for justifiable reasons. In a lot of cases, it just is what it is. If you're mad about that, fucking literally tell him to stop behaving the way that he behaves, and everything will be fine. But he's talking about Ukraine now. Hold on. Ooh. Vaush's takes on Ukraine have generally been not Hassan's takes on Ukraine, and so therefore they were better than the average bears. But he is definitely one of the top names in my mind of like, this is stop talking about things even if you support them because you're kind of coming off crazy. I remember he talked with Dylan Burns' friend, that color-haired Ukrainian lady who tweets all the time about her imminent death. She's almost always getting bombed. Her Twitter is too stressful. I know if she sees this video, she's gonna be like, "Well, you should try living here." I'm like, I would rather not, but I support the Ukrainian movement. That was a whole argument about Azov Battalion, and Azov are Nazis or something. I don't know. The Azov thing is still completely baffling to me, but even if all of the Azov people were Nazis, I would still support them fighting somebody that was trying to invade their home. Nazis are only bad in of the bad shit that they do, which is very, very bad. And also, these aren't, I don't know if they're even really like Nazis, like Ukrainian flavor, right? So they're not German leftovers from World War II necessarily. They're like fucking cultural supremacists in their own area, which actually tends to be some of the best people to fight. You know what I mean? If they're going to have that conversation later, they will. But as far as a unit that is fighting, I'm saying even at their worst interpretation, if it's a unit that's fighting against an invasion, more than likely that's fine. Because there's nothing about Ukrainian or Russians in the history of Russia that would ever remotely suggest to me that they are going to be somehow nicer to Jewish people than Nazis. Maybe like a smidge, but like Russians have done a few pogroms. There's a reason there's a lot of Russian Jewish immigrants in America, and it's not because Russia fucking slapped for Jews. That's pretty much the thing. Obviously, Germany fucked up real bad, but it is what it is. A complicated history. As far as I was concerned, his conversation with her seemed pretty lacking because she wanted to say some things about shit she knew about. He just wanted to, I guess because of the political climate of the day, come out against Azov, which seemed, I guess, necessary at the time for supporting defense of Ukraine. In my mind, I feel like the literal Nazis themselves had the right to defend against an invasion of Germany. I mean, it's their fucking country. Glad they lost. Real fucking stoked how many we killed. Fucking based. And if you are like a vicious anti-Semite and a fucking Nazi, like I hope you die because I just do. It's just a case. It's a thing. Like, whatever. But his conversation on it seemed pretty lacking in substance on his part. So like to the point where even if he was correct about him, he didn't really seem to prove it. And the other individual he was talking to seemed to know considerably more about it. And I remember hearing a note of despair in her voice about trying to talk to him about something and not being able to. So it was strange. There are a lot of Banderites running around. See, I have no idea. Dylan interviewed a right sector fighter, and he just sounded like the average, slightly conservative Polish person. Yeah, I think Ukrainian Anna. There you go. I mean, if they're bad, they're bad. If they're not, they're not. But like, they are what they are. I don't have, and nobody does. That I have seen online any deep knowledge of this Azov battalion. I mean, I even tried to look them up a little bit, and all of the leads that I got are stuff that I can't really follow down. So you kind of have to take almost every single person with a grain of salt in their description of this like single unit that is an aspect of the Ukrainian war. So it was just a strange thing, and also a weird hill to die on, being kind of like very, very extremely outspoken and violent against them. I don't know. It was very, very strange. The USSR saved the most Jews during World War II by deporting a ton to the Far East, like to like Kamchatka and like I don't know why I always say Kamchatka. I don't know if that's actually over there. To like the very, very far east, like over by Japan and China and stuff. They also became very watered down because people weren't. So like, yeah, this is one of those things where I can't say like I don't know. I just don't know that much about them, even though I've looked them up a little bit. And I think at this point in the war, they're probably a lot of the people that started in it, considering they were fighting in the worst place, might not even be in it anymore. Azov and the like also got diluted a lot by more moderate recruits and the hardcore guys getting killed. I mean, yeah, it seems like that way. And it's another thing where in the heat of war, you just never know. Like that's a standard thing. You just never really know what the fuck is going on. And I want to preface this by saying war is very, very confusing, very, very aggressive, and anybody that has like really dyed in the wool opinions on specific things that are going to for sure happen and they're highly predictive are the people that are most likely to be fucking wrong about stuff. I got banned from your server after I left it by a resentful mod. I banned you because you kept fucking leaving and coming back to ban evade. So I banned you. It wasn't a resentful mod. It was me being irritated by every day seeing you leaving and coming back to the server in the leaving and coming back to the server section of the server. Yeah, I think most were at least captured in Maripol, and they're more the war hero group. It's called Birobidsan. Why would you ban me for that? Because it's irritating. Because it's ban evading. I'll do it right now if you're questioning a ban. At the block list. Don't ask another question about it or you're going to get fucking terminated. Either way. This is Vaush's thing. I wanted to get into this. I'll try to get a little bit on accurate. If Godminus keeps asking me questions and being disruptive, ban him from fucking Twitch too. Godminus, behave. Actually, yeah, go ahead and give him a 24-hour timeout because it's going to be distracting.
Jerking off Twitter accounts, calling every Russian an orc. Guys, don't defend the orc thing. Come on. It's definitely not a race thing, though. It's a behavior thing about Russian soldiers. Then use any one of the billion terms.
Is this pre-accelerated? It is.
That you can use to refer to people who do war crimes. Rather than orc, a term which is, like, literally, you're a different race. I'm not defending it, but why would Vaush of all people be opposed to calling people orcs when he says it all the time? When do I call Russians orcs? Hogs? Sometimes I've called conservatives hogs. That's not literally like they're not people. It's a reuse or a recontextualization of centuries-old class dynamicism. When you call the bourgeoisie pigs, you're not literally like dehumanizing them. That's not how the rhetoric is employed. It's just like an animalization or what is it? It's obviously not the same. I don't know about that one, Chief. I mean, I don't need to argue with you. I have the like incredible power of just banning people. If you really think that like Azov jerking off Twitter accounts, calling every Russian an orc is the same as like saying cops are pigs or the bourgeoisie are pigs, you can just like leave the chat. I don't care.
That's a strange, because unironically, like Russian invading forces are without reservation worse than an American police officer. I hate to break it to you, as bad as cops are, at their worst, it's still very rare for them to mass murder an entire village. So like, there's a bit of a difference. There's just a tiny bit of a difference between invading Russian soldiers and cops. So like that's crazy. But also I think it's perfectly fine to call Russians orcs. I think it's fine to call people a lot of stuff as long as it's not like a highly racialized, you know, it's the stuff that we call Japanese people during World War II is unacceptable. Basically, kind of start with that. You know what I mean? But like calling Germans Jerry's, gives a fuck. As a literal German American, I could give two fucks. You know what I mean? Especially because it's really not racialized. There is not a noticeable difference to the average white person on Earth outside of, you know, the Slavic areas who can tell a difference between Slavic Europeans and non-Slavic Europeans, whatever that even fucking means. Also, calling police pigs is the definition of dehumanizing. Yeah, we use dehumanizing language against people we don't like all the time. It's different than like dehumanizing a race of people. There's like subtleties to this, but the thing is Vaush doesn't use subtlety in his language, and he's making the most bizarre of all of the possible prescriptions, which is it's okay to say it about cops, it's not okay to say it about Russians. Now, I've heard a sort of mealy mouth thing where like people can't choose to be Russian, but it is a citizenship, and you kind of can in a certain way. I mean, it would be difficult for you to leave, but also, you know, a tradition of depressed Russian playwrights have proven that you can choose to be Russian after a certain sense. But here's the thing: is there's no reason to humanize Russians. There's no reason to humanize Russians or to talk about Ukrainians in a way that they need to humanize people that are invading them. If it makes it easier, you know, for you to ignore the humanity of people that are invading your homeland so that you can kill them more effectively and not feel as bad about it in the moment, I think that that's like militarily expedient. I think that's fine. I literally can't care. I know that's callous and that's mean, but unfortunately, we're not talking about, you know, model UN. We're not discussing the, we're not discussing the like politeness that you might exchange between yourself and another sports team or something. Like the Russians are literally executing them. If they want to call the Russians mean names while they're fighting for their lives against them, I don't care. If the people aren't literally killing each other, it's an insane thing to, of all the things that are going on over there right now, to be concerned largely about using dehumanizing language against an invading force. I just could not care. I could not care at all, especially when it's not even like racial. It like you're calling them by a fantasy race. You know what I mean? Like that is in that world does the same thing. You know, it's not like it's not like calling I don't know, like a Jewish person or something some sort of, you know, I don't even like the goblin thing that only exists in fucking Harry Potter. By some sort of, I don't know, trickster Jewish stereotype fantasy creature, whatever the fuck. I don't even know. I'm an ill-read racist, I guess, in my mind. But like that's not even happening. Like orcs in all mythology that I know, which I guess is mostly just boils down to Tolkien, is just like, yeah, they're just invading monsters that are controlled by a single like demon that if you destroy the demon, maybe they'll stop invading or they'll leave or something. I can't care. Of all not only can I not care, I think like getting upset about it or trying to turn it into an argument is tantamount to sort of throwing sand onto the fires of a very necessary war movement. My support for the Ukrainian people is fairly uncritical, without reservation. I get why they are going to more than likely, in a lot of cases, not necessarily abide by the law of land warfare, because it's not their fault you drove them fucking insane by killing their entire family before they finally managed to catch one of your guys. As a matter of fact, every time I see Ukrainians treating Russians with dignity and respect and arresting them and sending them to POW camps, it's like, wow, you guys are fucking, in some cases, a better man than I would be in your situation. And a lot of this is like armchair quarterbacking. I don't really care a lot for the opinions of people that have never been in a situation that's that fucking heated and day to day. You will go insane. I'm not like, that's not a light thing. You lose your mind. You are still like, you're not delusional. You're not like, you can't operate like an old person that's finally fucking lost the last of their faculties. You cannot process information the same way as other people, and you will not react. You will not be able to mitigate your reactions. Almost everybody in Ukraine, more than likely for the next 40 or 50 years plus, is going to suffer from some deep, bone deep type of PTSD. Like, and that's not just like a cute thing that you talk about on Tumblr that has no real repercussions outside of like your limited interactions with people. You have PTSD while the traumatic stress happens, and now you have the disorder. Like it's there. It's the next day you have PTSD. It's instantaneous. If you keep having the stress, you keep adding into the area that gives you the disorder. So people lose their minds. They have extremely aggressive reactions to stuff, and they could commit insane fucking crimes against the people that are invading them. And to a degree, I would be like, okay, I'll tell you what. Like, if it's militarily expeditious, and you aren't completely shooting yourself in the foot, shit fucking happens. It's an ongoing invasion where you're repelling an enemy. Like, dude, I don't fucking castigate the Vietnamese for some of the fucked up shit they did to our people while we were invading. Why? Because we invaded Vietnam, and they were a little bit upset about seeing their families burn in napalm fires. So when they wanted to do mean shit to us, we kind of didn't have that much of a leg to stand on, sometimes literally because the guy would cut it off. Now, is that good? No, it's very bad, but it's a war. Is it a war? Do the Vietnamese have a fucking option in that case? No, because we fucking invaded. So anything that the Ukrainians do, almost literally until the Russians leave, is the Russians' fault. They invaded. That's what happens. When you're an invader, you're the one that has to play more than above by the book because you started it. You started it. It's your fault that the combat's happening. If it's not happening in a way that you really like and it's like, oh, this feels like it's fair to me, stop. Wow, these Ukrainians keep doing war crimes against our people, which isn't even fucking happening. And even if it does, these Ukrainians are doing war crimes against Russian troops. Okay, and leave. Go the fuck home. Go away. When you talk, I don't care. They were being really dehumanizing against these Russians. I want them to make the Russians de-exist. I fucking don't care if they said something. If you shouted the most fucked up shit at a guy before you fucking turn him into Swiss cheese, I think he's probably more concerned about all the bullets that just passed through his fucking lungs and liver. In my opinion, he's like, this guy called me an orc before he shot me. I don't give a fuck. I don't know why that would be. It is the most armchair quarterback version of a like, oh, come on now. Like, do you want the fucking war to feel good for you when you talk about it? Is that what it is? Because that's what it feels like. It's standard fucking like true actual pearl clutching lib shit. Oh, I don't know. I threw my hat into the ring with these people before I understood the literal horrors of war, and now I don't know how to feel about it. Like, bro, if they lose, they're also gonna they're gonna be fucking executed like almost to the man. Especially all those people. You're like, I don't know if I like the way that Zelensky's running this. He seems a little desperate. Like, yeah, man, he gets fucking executed if they get to him. It's like a literal old school chess game. It's not like they're the Russians. They're orcs. They're not good people. By and large, they fucked up as an entire culture. As an entire culture, the Russians fucked up again and 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 again, and just continuously elect legitimately evil people and don't do anything about it. Like, oh, they're kind of helpless. I'm like, sure, they're kind of helpless, but if you're so helpless that you're still letting Putin do Putin shit, and then your son gets sent to fucking the meat grinder, who cares what your fucking opinion is? Like, do a revolution. Otherwise, you're fucking cool with it. You, at a certain point, it's like, how much do I have to put off on the people that are being fucking invaded? Like, Russians, this is your fault. People are calling you orcs because you look like fucking orcs. You act like monsters. It's not all the Russian people. Well, who cares? Why do we have to differentiate? They're the one that are fucking up. If people want to be mean from other countries that we've invaded about Americans, who the fuck am I to say, like, oh, don't talk about Americans like that? We're not all monsters. I'd be like, yeah, I get it. You know how I say this all the time? I'm like, yeah, we were pretty fucking evil then. We kind of deserve the fucking heat we got. That's what principle is. You start a war in someone else's fucking country and they lose their top about it and don't treat you right. That's on you the whole time. They're not They're not your host. You're not a guest. if I could flay you alive in the town square, I don't give a shit. Dude, don't go there. You literally could just leave. They can't. You know what I mean? Like, they get stuck there. He's called them orcs before, so I don't know why he's suddenly acting like it's bad now, especially without addressing his own past words. How clean are their elections? I don't give a shit. I just don't care. The Russians and the Russian people have lost for decades and a century now at this point. Generations upon generations of people who are holding up this government. People get mad at the fucking American people all the time. You know what I mean? And there's a great amount of culpability that we have in the way that our government runs and how easily we are fucking duped into shit. There is, regardless of how you feel about it, a strong level of support and or indifference towards the operations of Russian day-to-day governmental activities because nobody's doing anything about it. That's what happens. And so if you guys are all like, here's the thing, if it's like, well, I got to feel bad for you because your country is invading and like, you don't like the way that we talk about you when you invade, like who gives a fuck? I don't care. Do something about your country or don't. Stay indifferent, stay scared of the people. But if terror is what rules you, I would much rather be the terror in your life than a victim of your fucking offspring and your loins and your culture because I don't know, you're too scared to do something about Mr. Out the Window. I just don't care. I can't because if it's down to me or you, your lack of ability to do anything about the situation is not going to make me less likely to fucking put 6 in you. I don't care that the Russians are conscripts. The conscripts can die. They can all be fertilizer. I don't care. They're soldiers. You have go the other way. Do anything else. But if it's like, well, I don't have much choice. I'm being put out here. Okay, well, they don't have a choice either because leave. And if you're too scared of the people that are on your side, but you're less scared of them or more scared of them than you are of this side just has to scare you more. And that's like where you have to proceed. We have to fuck. If people are like, oh, well, the conscripts still have the balls to fight Ukrainians, then the Ukrainians need to fuck the conscripts, the Russian conscripts up even harder. The conscripts in Russia should be so scared of going to the front. They should be so knowledgeable of the fact that they'll never come home that they would rather kill people in their own country than have to go die alone thousands of miles from where the fuck ever it is that they're from. Because that's victory. It's war. I'm sorry. Did you think that it was going to be cute and you're going to have some sort of like little book version of the world that you'd be like, oh, well, here, this is the fairy tale version of existence where everyone's happy. Bad shit happens, homie. I'm on the Ukrainian side until they do something crazy wrong. But there's not been a single thing. There's things that I know the Ukrainians more than likely didn't do that they got accused of. Even if they did it, I wouldn't give a fuck. I wouldn't care because I've been to war. I know how it is. I'm not a child trying to like extrapolate out the Call of Duty and Battlefield matches and like my Hearts of Iron campaign into some semblance of reality. I'm not imagining that. I've just been there. I've seen what it's like past the railings. I know what it's like on the other side when there are no rules anymore, and you can see the world for really what it is, and it's ugly and it's horrifying. You're lucky that you're here. You're lucky. People, do you know how fucking blessed people are that they can sit here and talk about, I know the war is going on, but could you just be a little bit more polite about the way that you talk about them? It makes me feel squicky. I said a lot of nice things about you, and I raised like $3,000 for you to buy night vision glasses. Could you just be nicer to them before you blow their fucking brains out with a HEMAR? Literally set their living bodies on fire so they can die screaming in a field, calling for their mother, and however the fuck you say that in Russian. Yeah, they're fucking people. I know that. The Ukrainians on the ground know that. It's hard to kill people, but you have to kill them. So if you got to call them an orc so that you feel better about it, I say fucking go ahead. Do it. Is that callous? Yeah. Is it gross? Yeah. Don't fucking invade countries. Don't let war happen. Because this is the repercussion. This is what fucking direct action looks like. This is doing a revolution before you have to overthrow the government. It's the same sort of thing. I hear they are more scared of the Chechen soldiers than the Ukrainians. Chechens are like a fucking boogeyman to the world. I don't know what it is about them, but they're apparently the scariest human beings in the history of mankind. Belarus is already basically a client state, and Putin would keep going to get the imperial holdings back, at least in Europe. Tyler's got the energy only a real war vet can muster. I mean, it's just like, it's not even energy. It's not, if anything, it's a lack of it. I just don't care. I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered with theoretical whinging of people who will never go anywhere near these places. People that having to say, shot a paper target once is the closest that you've got to war. Who cares? You know what I mean? Like, there's people that are there's like women that will have never picked up a gun. You know what I mean? And they just raise their children in a literal fucking battlefield. And they make bread every day. And if they had anything to say about war, I don't care what it is, I would sit there and I would listen because they've seen more of it than I have. They make bread. That's what they did the whole time. They made bread. People run up and down. One day the town's Russian. The next day the town's Ukrainian. The next day the town's Russian. The next day after that, the town's fucking next to gone. She's got one of the only houses left. She's still making bread. Why? Got a baby. Baby got to eat the bread. That lady knows about war. That lady has an opinion about fucking calling people orcs. I want to hear that. How does she feel? Maybe he's trying to appeal to Hassan's community. He probably shouldn't have dropped the taxes folder if he's trying to appeal to anybody. I remember Freda once saying, and to be totally clear, I generally like Freda, got mad because the Ukrainian squad was coating bullets in pig fat when they were going up against Russian-aligned Muslim Chechen mercenaries. And I was like, bro, what? They're coming there to kill them, man. Yeah, I don't give a fuck. War is the most callous and gross thing on earth, and I support people protecting their mental health. Fair. Not been to war, but read books on it. Of course, it doesn't compare, but maybe if he read a bit more, he wouldn't be such a brain-dead takes. I don't think Vaush doesn't read. By his own thing. But they are conscripts is also such a weird defense. Not only is it mostly not true in Russia's case, but also most of war crimes in modern times are committed by conscript armies. Yeah. The IDF is right that true also. You don't understand, Tyler. Since Russia is the opposite of the USA, we have to support it in everything. Some tanky, I guess. True. Blake, I can't make the joke. But on Juneteenth, you're going to tell me the paper target had a scary monster on it. A lot of Russian combatants are Wagner group too, so you never catch me shedding a tear over a merc, especially not a Nazi merc. No, it's really like the let God sort them out later, and it sounds callous, but it is really true. You can't get caught up. You can't, because that's like what the part that's you're a soldier. We're talking about soldiers. You can't get caught up in the humanity of the other side during. Afterward, you could feel guilty about it. You know what I mean? Like, you can maul, you can drink, you can fucking scream at the stars, you can try to get therapy, you can feel any sort of way you want about it, but that's for after. For when they're trying to kill you, live, motherfucker. You ever seen somebody die? You ever seen somebody get fucking opened up? I think I've said this about a bunch of times. You'll just like, literally, like, you see the inside pieces outside, and the fish gulp, and then they're done. That is, you don't want that to happen to you. Let me explain this to you. That right there is rough. And if someone's trying to do that to me, I'll say whatever the fuck I want to them before I fucking put two in them. I'll say whatever the fuck is on my mind because I'm out there. You know what I mean? If you want to try to correct people's language that are engaging in warfare, I don't care what side they're on. Go out there and tell them to their face. Just Dylan will probably take you. Vaush probably has free time. Vaush cares about people calling Russians orcs. You should start at the source. Get with Dylan and be like, hey, I want to go over there for a week. And we get out to the front line. I want to have a conversation with some Ukrainian frontliners about how naughty their tongues are. I don't like the way that they're referring to these Russian invaders. It's just a little offensive. They need to dial that back. This is the second of the two videos. What's the lead? Vaush goes ballistic against Ukrainian nationalists and his own chat. He proceeds to call the Ukrainians sweaty, balding Slavic people and tells them to go to the trenches. That's crazy. So God bless Vaush and being able to talk about dehumanizing and possibly, it looks like that he's wearing the same shirt both times and in the same time just literally do a racism. It's not a deep one. Anti-Slavic racism is kind of on par in my mind with anti-Italian racism. Bigotry bad, especially if you're not fucking like. All of the caveats I mentioned are life or death situations where somebody's literally trying to fucking take your home from you. In this case.
You got Ukrainian Nazis who all think the Russians are Jewish. I'm sorry, man. You're both sweaty. Also, it's like they treat it like it's a race war. I'm really sorry, man. You know Ukrainians and Russians? You two look the same to me, motherfucker. You got Ukrainian Nazis who all think the Russians are Jewish. I'm sorry, man. You're both sweaty, balding Slavic people to me, okay? Now go in the trenches. Because every once in a while, some Ukrainian...
You inconvenienced Vaush by asking him a question. It is now time for you to get castigated. I mean, it's bigoted. I wouldn't say it's like racist, like on par with, you know, true colorist-based racial invective that's highly, deeply charged. Also, he's Polish, so technically, I think there is, as a German, all the same to me. A Polish person calling out the looks of any other fucking European is just crazy. IMO, especially considering it's like the sweatiest and baldest of most of the types. That's all I mean. That's a little bit ridiculous. The get back in your trench is crazy. Because I mean, he doesn't like Vaush won't even get in the trenches to defend himself in a word fight. You know what I mean? This is a guy. By the way, this is a guy that literally ran from a debate with me about clothes. Like the dude is an actual pussy. Like never forget that about Vaush. He can't talk shit when someone else can talk back to him. Vaush is a bitch. Vaush, you're a bitch. You're too much of a pussy to fucking talk to people. This is a literal call out. Let's debate. Whatever. I know that you're too fucking scared to come out of your fucking hole, so there you go. Get back in the trenches. Vaush won't even get into the trenches against fucking neo-Nazis when they're fucking on the rise. Why? Because he can't. Because Vaush released the fact that he's got a lolly folder. So Vaush can't fight anybody. Because Vaush is a bitch, Vaush is a fucking idiot, and Vaush is a pussy fucking moron who doesn't read. You got nothing. So let's just say that. Don't be rich, fucking flabby-bodied, pampered, effete, pseudo-intellectual, and then try to tell people to like, oh, go back to the fighting and stop trying to call me out. This is a man, by the way. This is a man whose cultural heights that he's ever achieved was eating a fucking grilled cheese in Barcelona. Like, literally lower than fucking filth. An actual coward. An actual fucking nonce. Like, trying to call out people, trying to call out Russians, and I think very little of Russians right now. Him trying to call out Russians is the pot calling the kettle a kettle at all. Like, I don't even know how to fucking equate that. Like, it's attempting to punch up in a way where he's pretending he's punching down. Absolute fucking insanity. Like, Vaush does not deserve to talk shit about invading Russian orcs because he doesn't have the balls to even argue against one of them on the internet anymore. He's literally too fucking afraid. Why? Because he did fucking pedo shit and everyone called him out on it, and now he can't get into an argument with someone who has more presence than a fucking a little bit of chat right here. Because if he can't immediately ban them, they can fucking smoke him up and down the goddamn block. So put that in perspective whenever he's talking. I'm afraid of Vaush's community. I'm afraid of Vaush shit. I'm gonna nip that in the bud. Everyone should talk shit about him. It's time. Call him out in other people's chats. Unironically, at this point, I don't want to hear fucking anyone, like, I don't want like a demon mama saying a nice thing about fucking Vaush. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear fucking Xanderhall saying nice shit about him. And they should be called out when they're not talking about his dumb fucking takes, because the guy should be fucking isolated until the point where he actually lowers down the fucking walls. Because this like special passport shit to get close to Mr. fucking Clouthon is absolutely fucking absurd. So like this needs to get fucking annihilated, because I cannot stand this fucking pussy. Big talking. People talk about his career. He's got charisma out the wazoo. He's fucking hiding and shouting out his window like fucking Phil Leotardo at the end of goddamn Sopranos. It's it. That is it. He's the French guys on top of the fucking parapets in Monty Python. Only he doesn't even have fucking armor on, and he's literally alone with himself and a bunch of whale donos who are just there to get fucking like patted on the back by somebody who agrees with him sometimes.
Nationalist will go on some tirade about how actually ethnically the Ukrainian people are descendant from the heavens or whatever, and Russians are all pig people. And it's just a nice reminder that Nazism is a problem everywhere. You think you called US cops orcs, not the Russians? Do you think that's better? Well, yeah, I do think that's better. There are literally like massive swaths of Ukrainians who absolutely would like exacerbate this as a fundamental ethnic conflict.
What is this like facial expression that he makes, by the way? This is something that I've always noticed about him. He starts to, it's this. Because it comes off as anger and people saying it like sounds like, but this looks like terror to me. This is what fear looks like to me when somebody's like trying to like, when you're backing somebody up against a wall, you know, and they know they're about to get fucking cracked and they're too nervous to, they're too nervous to stop talking. That's what this looks like. And I see it all the time. Like the dude's fucking terrified. He's scared of his own fucking chat. Because his chat is routinely full of people who say like, oh, I don't know, that doesn't seem 100% accurate. And that can completely derail his entire fucking existence. Maybe he is just a lolcow, but the fucking people that milk him is just his chat and his fucking whales. He called me the Shah of Iran.
I know you've called cons orcs, but that's deserved. Okay, fine, I'll go off on all of you, okay? This is one of the reasons why I don't do debates anymore. None of you motherfuckers think. You put no effort into engaging with a broader idea.
No, don't. Dude, clip this. Vaush doesn't debate anymore because he's a fucking pussy. And that's it. He's just a bitch. Clip. That's it. There are no more fucking reasons. Vaush scared. Vaush ran. Vaush scared. Vaush ran. That's it. That's it. There's no other reasons. You wanna know why I do debates anymore? It's because my chat's not smart. My chat doesn't think. Oh my god, I love that it got to that in the same clip.
But it is a little bit frustrating when I'm making what I think is a pretty clear and simple point against dehumanization, and people in chat are acting like, actually in a July 2022 VOD, you claimed I don't care. Also, it's
yeah, because you're inconsistent. Of course you don't care. I know you don't care. Vaush doesn't care because Vaush doesn't. He doesn't care. He's about this life now. He's about isolating himself and doing whatever he wants. He's an accident. I think Vaush knows he's a mistake. I think that's the case. Like he knows that his entire career was a fucking accident. He's a pseudo intellectual. And now that everyone else has noticed and he's out of fucking Nazis to pick on, because I mean, I fucking slapped fucking Gob around like bored. I didn't even fucking have to bring up any facts because there aren't any. But once you have to go any deeper than that and have an actual conversation, gone. He's gone. It will destroy the illusion. If Vaush talks to anyone anymore, it's like fucking finding out that the goddamn, it's talking about 30-year-old spoilers. How about like 100-year-old spoilers almost? That at the end of The Wizard of Oz, the wizard is behind the curtain is just some fucking dipshit and not the gigantic head in the sky. That's the whole thing. If Vaush has to fucking show any level of knowledge or expertise on a subject, he gets fucking obliterated. And here's to the point where everything that you believe you've ever heard from him that's true, you now do really, like, you have an obligation to double check it, which I feel all the time too. And now I'm constantly finding out the things I just took for granted. I thought this guy mildly maybe thought he knew about. He was wrong about those things too. He's been wrong about almost every single thing he has said, to the point where he has probably set up literally millions of people to completely show their ass in debates and completely just embarrass themselves when they talk about things that they thought were like deeply held truths, because they fucking listen to this guy and he fucking led him astray. He doesn't read books. Why do you think he knows anything? If it wasn't in a ContraPoints video and it didn't come out fucking 20 minutes ago that he's like got it fresh in his mind, Vaush doesn't know. ContraPoints stopped making fucking content and Vaush stopped being right about anything. God damn. And yeah, President Sunday, any opponent has also has immediate recourse to bring up his tax folder even if they lose. I mean, which is crazy. And they do. People that talk to him fucking years ago. Noah Sampson now has turned his retroactive L into a dub Because he could just say, oh, well, the last time somebody debated me, I guess it didn't go well for me, but now, I guess he's a fucking literal lolicon pedophile, so, lose the battle, win the war. What's your argument for that? What are you going to start saying, like, oh, no, I don't know if you know this, but my dude got you. My dude got you. God damn. It's absolutely fucking absurd. But my ultimate thing is I don't give a shit what you call the fucking Russians. If the Russians want people to be nice to them, the Russians need to actively start fucking doing some crazy shit to get their country to not be the way it is anymore, because they are not their lives, safety, and health are not a priority to me, because their country is run by a guy who's a threat to the entire earth and an immediate threat to people around. So, like, unironically, I don't care about Russians at all. If I don't know how many of you maybe have to die for there to be peace in the region, but that toll is fine. That toll is fine. I don't care what the number is. If it's all of you, that toll is fine, because you have lost control of your country and now you live under the thumb of a madman. It is you've passed beyond the equation where your lives matter, and that's not anyone's fault but the fucking guy that's in charge of your country. Sucks. Is it good? No. Am I proud of that? No. Not happy about it. Wish it wasn't the case. Flee if you can. I don't know what the fuck you can do. It's not my responsibility to solve your problems for you. Trust me, I'm an American. You don't want us to try to do that. We'll end up living there for 20 years. But I don't give a fuck. Like, the Russian people and their life, health, comfort, and safety are the least concerned with all the things that are happening over there. That's just fact. I don't care. Oldest to the youngest, man, woman, child, it does not matter. Your lives, your health, and your safety are meaningless and should remain meaningless to the West until everybody else has fucking fixed the issues that your country's caused. I say the same thing to my country. It's not a principle that I'll go back on. And it's not a moral position. It's not like, hey, this is a good thing. Y'all got the fucking worst dice roll in the world. One of you could have pushed fucking Vladimir Putin in front of a train in 1920 or 1970 something, and you didn't, and now he's alive and he's destroying your country and threatening the world with nuclear holocaust if he doesn't get to do all of his little baby brain schemes. If X amount of you, and X could equal all, have to go for us to solve that problem, that is a fucking sacrifice everybody else will be willing to make, because y'all are willing to sacrifice other people for your health and safety, conversely. You know what I mean? Like, y'all don't care. You don't care enough. If you're scared of him, but you think you'll live if you don't interfere and you don't mind what's happening, then at a certain point, it does get expropriated onto you. Does that mean it's moral or good or forgivable to, like, go and kill Russian civilians? No. But as far as the tally of war, which is this cruel skull shape in the fucking sky that cares nothing for life or health or safety of anyone, if it's one of them or one of you that gets pushed in front of the grand maw of death, I vote that you get pushed again and again and again and again and again until the problem is solved. Cruel, horrible, but that is the literal fucking, that's the mathematics of warfare. That's why warfare should be avoided at all costs. If you were ever a person in your country and you're like, I fucking love war. War good. I'm a fan. Oh, this is fucking awesome. No. It's very bad. It only feels cool when you think that you're going to win. When you think that there's not going to be any repercussions for you. But, like, once it gets deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, it goes, oh, shit. Maybe we should have avoided this. This is actually the worst possible result of all possible results. And that is the case. And I think that's enough said on that subject.